Welcome, Rangers fans, to our midweek coaches show where we recap what's going on in the last week in Smithson Valley High School and then look ahead to the upcoming events athletically at Smithson Valley. We'll start with football. That's where we usually do. I'm joined by our defensive coordinator, Craig Worstfer, and offensive coordinator, Glenn Hill. And most weeks we recap last week's game, hopefully telling you something good, having a good result, and talk about what we did well last week. Well, as many of you know, we had an open week last week. There's nothing to report. The upside, we made no mistakes. You know, we didn't turn the ball over. There weren't any penalties, and we gave up no long plays. But we had a good open week. You know, our players did a nice job of we treated it almost like spring training, you know, where there's no specific opponent in mind. And, you know, we did some good stuff. So we feel good about where we're at, but now we're ready to launch ahead to next week's game. And before we talk about this week's game against Lehman, because we have nothing to discuss next week, we're going to immediately go to Melissa Miller and Mrs. Snyder, our principal. They're going to talk about what's going on in our other sports the previous week who didn't have an open week and what else is going on around the campus. So we're going to toss it to you now, ladies.
Thanks, Coach Hill. Welcome back to Miss Snyder. We missed you last week.
Thank you.
Mr. Trevino did a great job filling in.
Yes, he did.
We hope football enjoyed their bye week last week. All of us, other sports were still going, so we want to recap that, and we'll highlight our student and teacher of the week, talk about what's coming up this week in Ranger Athletics. So starting off last week, our volleyball team brought home 2 big sweeps, program sweeps, varsity, JV, and freshman. We hosted Bernie Champion for our Teacher Appreciation Night, which was a really fun night. Shout out to all the teachers that came. Yes, we were honoring you, but it meant a lot to the girls that you guys took time out of your schedules to come, so thank you to all the teachers who came to that game. And then Friday, we headed out to Seguin and brought home 4 wins, freshman A, freshman B, JV, and varsity. So we just finished round 1. Varsity is currently 5-2. Our JV team is undefeated.
Nice.
7-0. Coach Mooch and those girls are killing it. And then our freshman team overall is 6-1. So some schools have an A team, some schools don't. So we just kind of lump the freshmen together at 6-1. So really good first round, starting second round this week, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Cross country headed to the Dallas Jesuit Invitational. The boys team took home 12th overall, which this is a very competitive. We went all the way to Dallas, best teams in the state. So we're really proud of the boys for the 12th overall. Shout out to Braden Youngdahl, Zabine Martin, and Luke Smith, who competed really well, all ran under 17 minutes for their 5K. Which is very impressive.
Yeah.
I couldn't even dream of doing that. And then the girls team overall brought home 17th. Huge shout out, as usual, to Mia Perez and Zaylee Zimmerman for leading the way. Those guys take a week off before they get ready for district, so good luck to them. We hope they enjoy their bye week. Water polo, our girls brought home a win versus Canyon Lake, 16-4. Super impressive, which does qualify them for the postseason. So after they finish their season this week, they'll head to the first round of playoffs. We'll have all that information as soon as we get it. And our boys got to play their first 2 matches. We finally have enough boys for a water polo team. They did not win, but you know what? They played 2 matches, and we're proud of them, and they competed, and they worked hard. They lost to Canyon Lake on Tuesday and then to Canyon on Friday, but those are their first 2 matches of the year.
They're getting out there. That's
they
what's
are.
important.
We're just excited that those boys recruited. Coach Duckworth did a good job of putting a team together. It's never too late. Also, speaking of postseason, our tennis team beat Canyon 13-6. Huge shout out to our girls' side. They played 6 matches and won 4 of them, which was a huge part of us beating Canyon 13-6. Our tennis team has finished 3rd in district, which qualifies them for postseason. We'll talk about in a little bit where you can find them next week. And then golf got kicked off. Our girls had their first tournament, finished 13th overall. Talked to Coach Sutton, our assistant golf coach, about it a little bit. She said they had tons of competition, really strong teams out there. Huge shout out to Sayers Allen and Maddie Lawless for their performance. She said they played consistently, I think all 3 rounds that they played. I think Sayers just committed as a junior, so really, really strong golf program. They do a little bit in the fall, and then they really get kicked up in the spring. So congrats to them on a great first showing, and I think you have some people to call out for us.
We do. We want to actually highlight the band first. They had their first competition last week on Saturday. It was very good. They also compete this Saturday at the Comal Classic, so if you're around, head out to
Where
see
is that
them at Canyon High School.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll be there competing. Also, don't forget next week is homecoming, and so we have a lot of activities happening with our dress-up days, but then our game and the dance on Saturday. We want to highlight a few teachers today. Nathan Bostic. Mr. Bostic brings a great attitude to his class every single day. In his uplifting classroom, he takes the time to model appropriate writing and thinking process to his students. He is typically in his room before 7 a.m. each day, working hard on adjusting lesson plans and activities to meet the needs of his students. Congratulations, Mr. Bostic. And Julian Johnson. Mr. Johnson always goes the extra mile for his students. He provides a learning environment that is safe and challenging for all of his students. Congratulations, Mr. Johnson.
Congrats to both of you. Thanks for everything that you do.
And our student of the week is Isabel Nolan. Isabel worked hard to create activities and announcements for our Suicide Prevention Week because it's an issue that is close to her heart and she's passionate about it. She had many great ideas and plans, too many to be able to implement in just 1 year. So thank you for all of your work on that, Isabel.
Thanks, Isabel. All right, so looking forward, we have got volleyball tonight, plays at Piper High School. So starting round 2 for us. If you can't make it to Piper, obviously we would love to have you there at 6:30. If you can't make it, WIC Productions will be showing it on Warrior Network, so you can tune in there for a live stream. And then Friday we head to Veterans Memorial. Varsity will play at 7, again starting round 2, hoping to do a little bit better in round 1, pull out some of those losses that we had in the 5th set. Cross country, as we said, has no meet this week, so they are kind of laying low right now. Next Thursday is their district meet in Seguin, so they'll train this next week and a half, take this weekend off from competition so that they're ready to go at peak performance on Thursday. Water polo's last home game is tonight versus Davenport. Again, we do have a boys team, so they will play first at 5:15, and then our girls will play at 6:15. And then tennis, as we said, is headed to playoffs. They are going to have a little warm-up match, non-district match versus Clark this Wednesday at Clark. First round of playoffs for them is going to be next Monday or Tuesday. The site is to be determined. The day is to be determined. We will get that information out on social media as soon as Coach Lalonde finds out. And then last but not least, golf. As we said, had a great showing this past weekend. They take a little bit of time off before their state preview, which is the first week of November. So, good luck to them in November, but they are out there every single morning, afternoon practicing. So keep doing what you're doing, Coach Poppy and Coach Sutton. You're doing a great job. And then obviously good luck to football this Thursday night. They do play Thursday night, in case you didn't know, at Shelton Stadium. They take on the Lehman Lobos, and I have no idea what a Lobo is. Do you?
Last one, best one?
That's all I know of a Lobo. I think Coach Hill has, some kind of ties to a Lobo. So Coach Hill, can you help us out with what a Lobo is?
Well, I do have a past as a Lobo, and certainly I'm fully aware of what a Lobo is. But what about you two guys? What is the connection?
I don't think you went to Lehman.
No, you didn't go
Didn't
to
go to
Lehman.
Lehman.
I know you were an East Central Hornet, and I think you became Sol Ross must be a Lobo.
Sol Ross Fighting
Sol
Lobos.
Ross Lobos. I had so many offers coming out of high school. I was offered by the Sol Ross football staff, and then my choices came down to that, or you're not going to school. So I made the difficult choice to go to Sol Ross. Played for the Lobos back in the day. So Lobo is a what?
Dog of some sort.
It's a wolf. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah,
except
everybody
you
knows
guys.
that. Everyone knows
It's
that.
a wolf.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. It's a wolf. So, but anyway, do have that connection. But this week, I'm hoping that the Lobos lose. We have the Lehman Lobos, the second high school in the Hayes Consolidated ISD, one of their now 3 high schools, and they're our next district opponent. And we do play on Thursday this week. They share a stadium with the other 2 schools, so our game was moved to Thursday. And we have them at 7 o'clock at Shelton Stadium in Buda, where all 3 of their teams play. So let's talk a little bit about Lehman now. We do have them. Their offense, Coach, they're throwing the ball.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they kind of go between a little bit of 2 offenses. They're moving more and more towards their spread offense. A lot of 10 personnel, 2x2, 3x1. They got a really explosive receiver. Quarterback's really accurate, moves around well. They do a pretty good job of protecting them. It'll really test what we worked on in the open with our communication skills and our coverages, and we'll have to be lock solid, in the back end this week to contain them.
Well, we got to get some pressure on him and don't let him sit back there all day and pick them out. Because
Yes,
if
sir.
you do that on a spread team, they can usually find somebody.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll need a great game out of our D-line. Hopefully we can put some pressure before, but we'll have to bring 5 and 6 at times and be able to do that and execute it well.
Yeah.
And really limit their explosive plays.
Well, sounds like a familiar recipe. Seems like you say that all the time. But defensively now, they're a little bit back and forth. Sometimes a 3-down front, sometimes a 4-down front.
All right, they're a multiple defense, and kind of like Coach Worsper talked about, what we did in the off week, just recognizing these different fronts and recognizing different coverages. We're going to probably see a few of them, and we have to be able to make our calls and go through our progressions and be able to handle the change from what they want to be a 3-down, I believe, and sometimes they'll jump into a 4-down based upon what the offensive formation is. So we'll try to identify when they're jumping into those different fronts and see if we can handle it.
Well, a little bit of an unknown. You know, we haven't played Lehman much through the years. We played them a year ago, but they have a brand new coach, brand new group of assistants, brand new system. So last year's game is of very little value to us. And we have no common opponents. Okay, we played opponent A and so did they, and you do the comparative score game, which is not really a good way to judge a matchup anyway, but there is none of that. We haven't played anybody they played and vice versa. So as always, we're going to go into Shelton Stadium just hoping to improve our level of play and see what the results bring. So we hope you'll make the drive over to Buda, 7 o'clock kickoff on Thursday, and we'll be back in here next week to recap how that game went. And we appreciate you being on today, and go Rangers.